Hello, this is Naruto Shippuden deck building game by Cryptozoid Entertainment. For this game is 2 to 5 players, ages 15 and up. In the front cover we have Naruto, Hinata, Sakura, Jiraiya, Shikamaru, Killer Bee, and Kakashi. And as you can see in the sticker, this is a first print, so we will be getting a promotional character to play as. So here we have the back. As you can see, we have a little preview of the cards that we're gonna get in this set. These include hand signs, techniques, enemies, allies, location, equipment, and also two of the main characters for this game. And here we have Kakashi and Naruto. Feel free to pause the video and read the descriptions. So let's open the box now. So first, we have a weekly Shonen Jump advertisement for Naruto. We have Ultimate Ninja Storm Revolution advertisement. It's pretty funny looking. Then we have this humongous Naruto Shippuden rulebook here. Here's the back with a lot of information. Some of the pages. A lot of information. Over here we have character cards. Here's the promotion card, Minato. Here's one of the mini packets. Here's a technique card. And a punch card right here. And here's the empty box, if you're wondering. These right here. As you can see, there's room for expansions. Hopefully to make some.
This game covers from the beginning of Shippuden to the Pain Arts. So hopefully we can see the Fourth Great Ninja War. Alright, so let's start opening these bad boys now.
The first character card we have is Naruto. To acquire his chakra, you will need 1 ally, 1 starter, and 2 enemy cards. Once you have 3 chakra, you may pay 3 less to defeat arch enemies this turn. Now we have Hinata. To acquire her chakra, you will need 2 allies, 1 equipment, and 1 technique. Once you acquire the chakra, her special ability is draw 2 more cards. Sakura, you will need 1 enemy, 1 technique, or 2 allies to acquire her chakra. Her special ability is destroy a card in your discard pile. Next, we have Chikamaru. To acquire his abilities, you will need 1 enemy, 1 equipment, and 2 allies. Once you have the chakra, reveal the top card of your deck. If its card type matches one of your chakra points, plus 3 power. If not, you may discard it. Next, we have Kakashi. For his chakra, you will need 1 ally, 1 enemy, 1 equipment, and 1 technique. Once you have that, play a card with the cost of 4 or less from the lineup. Then return it to the lineup at the end of your turn. Killer B. To acquire his chakra, you will need 1 ally, 1 technique, and 2 equipment. Once you have that, each foe may discard a card with cost 1 or greater. If he does not, he discards 2 cards instead. Here we have one of the promotion cards, Minato. To acquire his chakra, you will need 1 ally, 1 equipment, 1 starter, and 1 technique card. Once you acquire that, you will put any number of cards you buy or gain this turn on the top of your deck. And finally, we have Mecha Naruto. To get this promo card, you could either buy it online or you could get the first edition of Ultimate Ninja Storm Revolution. To acquire this chakra, you will need 1 equipment, 1 starter, and 2 enemy cards. Once you have enough chakra, this card is plus 2 power. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to get 7 punch cards. These are your starter cards. You're only plus 1 power, and at the end of the game, they're 0 points. At the beginning of the game, you will get 3 vulnerability cards. These are starter cards. They're worth 0 points at the end of the game. Then we have weaknesses. These cards reduce your score at the end of the game by -1. So always try to get rid of them as soon as possible. Over here, now we have the hand sign cards. The background for these is purple. There are 12 of them in the game. Once you use these cards, you put them back to the hand sign stack. These cards are plus 2 chakra, and to get them, you'll need to spend 1 point. But they're worth 0 points at the end of the game. Now we will start with ally cards. As you can see, these cards have a blue background. The first card is Side. He is a plus 2 powered. He's a defense card. You may discard this card to avoid an attack. To acquire him, you will need a 2 power, and at the end of the game, he is 1 point. Next, we have Choji. His special ability is X power. This is determined by the current level of the arch enemy. So if you're facing an arch enemy that is level 2, Choji's power is level 2. If you're facing someone that's level 3, Choji's power is 3, and so on. As you could see, some characters could also be allies. Here we have Sakura. Her ability is positive attack. You may destroy one card in your hand, and you may destroy one card in the discard pile. To purchase her, you will need 2, and at the end of the game, she is worth 1 point. Kiba. His ability is reveal the top card of your deck, draw it or destroy it. To purchase him, you will need 3 power, and at the end of the game, he is 1 point. Hinata. Her ability is reveal the 2 cards of your deck, draw each card that matches an empty chakra point of your character, discard the rest. To purchase her, you will need 3 power, and at the end of the game, she is 1 point. Rock Lee. He has positive attack, plus 4 power. To acquire him, you will need 3 power, and at the end of the game, he is 1 point. Neji. He has positive attack. Gain a card from the lineup. If it costs 5 or greater, destroy this card. You will need 3 power to get him, and at the end of the game, he is 1 point. Ino. She has plus 2 power. Your character also has each other character's chakra ability this turn. To acquire her, you will need 4 power, and at the end of the game, she is 1 point. Now we have Shikamaru. You may put a card from your discard pile on top of your deck. Defense. You may discard this card to avoid an attack. If you do, you may put a card with the same cost as the attack card from your discard pile into your hand or draw a card. To acquire him, you will need 4 power, and at the end of the game, he is 1 point. Now we have Naruto. He's a plus 2 power. His ability is punch cards you played or have played this turn have plus 1 chakra. To get him, you need 4 power, and at the end of the game, he is 1 point. Yamato. His ability is when you buy or gain this card, you may destroy a card in your hand or discard pile, plus 3 power. To acquire him, you will need 5 power, and at the end of the game, he is 1 point. Asuma. He is plus 2 power. At the end of the game, this card is worth 1 VP for each different positive attack in your deck. He is 5 to acquire, and as stated before, depending on your conditions of positive attacks, that's how much points he's going to be at the end of the game. Might Guy. His ability is positive attack. You may pay 6 less to defeat arch enemies this turn. To acquire him, you will need 6 power, and at the end of the game, he will be 2 points. Kakashi. His ability is you may play a card from the lineup into one of your character's empty chakra points. If you do, return it to the lineup at the end of your turn. If you choose not to, plus 3 power. To acquire him, you will need 6 power, and at the end of the game, he is 2 points. Jiraiya. His ability is plus 2 power. Gain the top card of the main deck. If it has chakra ability, put it into your hand. At the end of the game, this card is worth 1 VP for each different ally, enemy, and location in your deck with a chakra ability. To acquire him, you'll have to pay 7 power, and at the end of the game, he's worth depending how much allies, enemies, and locations are in your deck. Tsunade. Her ability is plus 1 power for each chakra you generate or have generated this turn. To acquire her, you will need 7 power, and at the end of the game, she will be 3 points. Finally, the last ally we have is Killer B. His ability is return each other card at the chakra point of your character to your hand. In parentheses, Their effects remain. To acquire him, you will need 8 power, and at the end of the game, it will be 3 points. Now we will be talking about the enemy cards. As you can see, the background for these are red. We're going to start with Sabusa. His abilities are +2 power. For his chakra, destroyed the top 5 cards of the main deck. At the end of the game, if the main deck is empty, you win the game. To acquire him, you will need 6 power, and he pretty much ends the game, so you really don't get points from him, but you do win. Karin, her ability is, you may destroy a card you play this turn. Its effects remain, plus chakra equal to that card cost. Together, you will spend 3 power, and at the end of the game, she will be 1 point. Shugo, his ability is, when you buy or gain this card, gain a weakness. Draw 2 cards. To get him, you purchase him with 4 power, and at the end of the game, he will be 1 point. Suigetsu, his abilities are +2 power. If this is your first card you play this turn, discard your hand and draw 4 cards. Chakra, draw 5 cards instead. To get him, you'll need 5 power, and at the end of the game, he will be 1 point. Now we have the first Path of Pain, Ningendo. His abilities are +2 power. At the end of the game, this card is worth 1 EP for each different Path of Pain in your deck. To acquire him, you will need 2 power, and as stated before, the number of pains in your deck will calculate how much points this card is at the end. Next, we have Gokudo. His abilities is, you may destroy this card. If you do, put an ally or enemy from your discard pile into your hand. Otherwise, +1 point. To acquire him is 2 power, and at the end of the game, he is 1 point. Gagido, his abilities is 2 plus power and gain a hand sign. He is also a defense card. You may discard this card to avoid an attack. If you do, you may put a hand sign from the stack into your hand. To get him, he is 3 points, and at the end of the game, he is 1 point. Chiku Sodo, his abilities, you may destroy this card to gain a card with the cost of 6 or less from the lineup and put it into your hand. To get him, he is 4 power, and at the end of the game, he is 1 point. Next we have Tsurado. His abilities include +2 power and an attack. Each foe puts a location he has in play into his discard pile. To get him, you need 4 power, and at the end of the game, he is 1 point. And finally, the last Path of Pain is Tendo. We have positive attack. Double your power this turn. To get him, 7 power, and at the end of the game, he is 2 points. Danzo, his abilities include +2 power and attack. Each foe discards a card and gains a weakness. If one or more foes avoids this attack, additional +2 power. To acquire him, you'll need 7 power, and at the end of the game, he is 2 points. Dark Naruto, his abilities include +1 power for each of your field chakra points. Also, he's a defense card. You may discard this card to avoid an attack. If you do, draw a card, and then you may put a punch from your hand or discard pile into the attacker's discard pile. To get him, he is 5 power, and at the end of the game, he is 1 point. The Ghetto Statue, his abilities include +2 power and an attack. Each foe reveals his hand. Gain a card of your choice from one foe's hand. Play it and then put it into that foe's discard pile. You don't get to keep this card. To acquire him, you will need 6 power, and at the end of the game, he is 2 points. And finally, the last villain we have is Kabuto. His ability is Chakra X, draw X cards. So in other words, depending how much chakra you have, that's how many total cards you draw. To get him, you will need 8 power, and at the end of the game, he is 3 points. Now we will talk about equipment cards. As you can see, the background for this is gray. The first card we have is Poison Flock. The ability is when you buy or gain this card, destroy it and attack each foe. Gains a weakness. To acquire this card, you will need 2 points, and victory points is 1. The next technique we have is Seals. When you destroy this card in any zone, gain the top card of the main deck and put it into your hand. You will need 2 power to gain this card, and at the end of the game, you will be 1 victory point. Here we have Kunai. Plus 1 power and choose a foe. Attack. The chosen foe gains a weakness. You will need 3 power to gain this card, and at the end of the game, you will be 1 point. So now we have the Shuriken. First, when you acquire this card, you will gain plus 2 power automatically. After that, this card will just be plus 2 power. To acquire this card, you will need 3 power, and at the end of the game, it will be 1 point. Chakra Blades. You will get plus 2 power. This is a defense card. You may discard this card to avoid an attack. If you do, draw a card and then discard a card. To get this card, you will need 3 power, and at the end, it will be 1 victory point. Paper Bomb. The ability is plus 2 power and additional plus 1 power if you played or have played a hand sign this turn. Defense. You may discard this card to avoid an attack. If you do, draw a card. To acquire it, you will need 4 power, and at the end of the game, it will be 1 point. Katsuyu Clone. This card is a positive attack, plus 6 chakra. To acquire this card, you will need 4 points, and at the end of the game, it will be 1 point. Scrolls. Plus 2 power, and when you have chakra 3, this card is plus 2 power and draw a card. To acquire this, you will need 5 power, and at the end of the game, it will be 1 point. Chart Skin. This is a positive attack. Double your chakra this turn. To acquire it, you will need 6 power, and at the end of the game, it will be 2 points. And finally, the last equipment card is the Executioner's Blade. This is 3 plus power. Whenever you buy or gain a card from the lineup this turn, you may destroy a card in your hand or discard pile. 7 power to acquire this card, and at the end of the game it will be 3 points. Now we have the technique cards. As you can see, the background for these are orange. The first card we have is Sexy Jutsu. For this card, when you buy or gain this card, each foe reveals his hand and discard a defense card. Just to acquire this card, you will need 2 power, and at the end it will be 1 point. Next we have the Byakugan. For this technique, you may destroy a card in your hand. You will need plus 2 to acquire it, and at the end of the game this card will be 1 point. Now we have the kick card. In this one, you can just see Kakashi throwing a basic kick. This card is plus 2 power. You'll need 3 power to get this card, and at the end it will be 1 point. Next we have the Shadow Stitching. As you can see, Hidan is having a terrible day. So this card is plus 2 power. Defense. You may discard this card and avoid an attack. If you do, you may put a positive attack from your discard pile into your hand. You will need 3 power to get him, and at the end of the game, you will be 1 point. Gentle Step Twin Line Fist. So on a personal note, this is one of my favorite scenes in the anime. Just seeing Hinata whip out these 2 lions out of her fist. and trying to hit Pain. Good times, good times. Anyways, this is a +2 power and choose a foe. Attack. The chosen foe flips his character card face down until the end of the next turn. You will need 4 power together, and at the end of the game it will be 1 point. Next we have the Shotgun. This technique is +2 power and draw a card. Defense. You may discard this card to avoid an attack. If you do, draw a card. If you avoid a group attack this way, draw an additional card. You will need 4 power to get this, and at the end of the game it will be 1 point. 8 gates. When Guy gets serious, he gets serious. So this is a positive attack. Draw 3 cards. You will need 4 power to get this, and 1 point at the end of the game. Shadow Clone. For this technique, punch cards you play or have played this turn have +1 power. Depending how much chakra you have, put that amount of punches cards from your discard pile into your hand. But you will need 5 power to get this, and at the end of the game it will be 1. Medical Jutsu. This technique, depending how much chakra you have, destroyed that number of cards in your hand and or discard pile. You will need 6 power together, and at the end of the game it will be 2. Lightning Blade. This technique, +2 power. You may destroy a card in the lineup and replace it. At the end of the game, this card is worth 1 VP for each different technique and equipment in your deck with a chakra ability. You'll need 6 power to get this card, and depending how much different techniques and equipment, that's how much points you'll get at the end of the game. Rasen Shuriken. For this technique, when you buy or gain this card, +4 chakra. Afterwards, it's just going to be +3 power. To get it, you will need 6 power, and at the end of the game, it will be 2 points. Next up, we have the Rasengan. This technique is +3 power. If you have 2 chakra, you may pay this any number of times. Attack. Each foe discards a card for each chakra payment you made this way. To get this card, you will need 7 power, and at the end of the game, it will be 2 points. Next up, we have the Reanimation. This technique is a positive attack. Gain the 2 top cards of the main deck and put them into your hand. You will need 7 power to get this, and at the end of the game, it will be 1 point. And finally, the last technique, the Tail Beast Bomb. With this, you will get +4 power, and if you have chakra 4, you will gain an additional +4 power. You will need 7 power to get this, and at the end of the game it will be 3 points. Now we have the location cards. The background for these is pink. The first card we have is a Hidden Leaf Village. All the location cards are played in front of you for the rest of the game. The ability for this one is Ongoing. Chakra X. Gain an ally from the lineup with VP value X. In other words, pick an ally card from the lineup, and whatever the number is, that's your chakra. To acquire this card, you will need 6 power, and at the end of the game, it will be 1 point. The Hidden Sand Village. For the ongoing attack, you will have Chakra X. Gain an equipment from the lineup with VP value X. Like the other cards, whatever equipment you get, that will be your chakra for this turn. To get this card, you will need 6 power, and at the end of the game, it will be 1 point. The Hidden Rain Village. As you can see, we got Pain getting ready to attack Konoha. So for here, instead of getting a technique or an equipment, you'll gain an enemy, and whatever the VP point is, that's going to be your new chakra. To get this card, you will need 6 power, and at the end of the game, it will be 1 point. Hidden Cloud Village. The ongoing description for this card is gain a technique from the lineup. with VP value X. Now this new value will be added chakra to your character. To get this card, you will need 6 power, and at the end of the game it will be 1 victory point. Finally, the last location in the game is Mount Hyoboku. For this, the ongoing ability is where X is the level of the current arch enemy. So depending how strong is the arch enemy, that's gonna be your new chakra for this turn. To get this card, you will need 7 power, and at the end of the game, it will be 2 points. And finally, now we have the arch enemy. For here, the cards are red, but you could tell they're the arch enemy by the text and also the black bar for their wording. The first card you'll always start with is Orochimaru. Here, he's a level 1, and his abilities include when you play this card, leave it in front of you for the rest of the game. Ongoing. Once during each of your turns, choose either +1 power or 1 plus chakra. This card starts the game on top of the arch enemy stack. To beat Orochimaru, you will need 8 power, and at the end of the game, he will be 4 points. Sasuke. He is a level 2 arch enemy. His abilities include you may gain all cards with chakra abilities from the lineup, and then put one of them into your hand. If you choose not to, +3 power. Group attack. This means that once Sasuke is revealed to be one of the characters you're fighting, this attack will attack all the players. Each player puts a card with a chakra ability from his hand or discard pile into the lineup. To beat Sasuke, you will need 9 power, and at the end of the game, he is worth 5 points. Deidara. He is a level 2 arch enemy. His abilities include when you buy or gain this card, you may destroy up to 5 cards in your hand and or discard pile. Stack. Ongoing. While this card is on the arch enemy stack, characters do not generate chakra. To defeat Deidara, you will need 8 power, and at the end of the game, it will be 4 points. Sasori. He is a level 2 arch enemy. His abilities include +5 power. Group attack. Each player reveals his hand and discards the highest cost card that matches one of his chakra points. To defeat him, you will need 10 points. At the end of the game, he will be 5 victory points. Next up, we have Hidan. He's a level 2 arch enemy. His abilities include +7 chakra. His group attack, each player puts X cards with victory point value 0 from his discard pile on the top of his deck, where X is the cost of the lowest cost card in the lineup. To defeat him, you will need 10 power, and at the end of the game, he will be 5 victory points. Kakuso. He's a level 2 arch enemy. His abilities include +3 power, and you may reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. If you do, draw one and destroy the other. Group attack. Each player gains a weakness for each card with a chakra ability in the lineup. To defeat him, he will need 9 power, and at the end of the game, he will be 5 victory points. Next up, we have Satsu. He's a level 3 arch enemy. His abilities include destroy a card in the lineup, +X power, where X is the destroyed card cost. Group attack. Each player with chakra points discards all cards that do not match those chakra points. To defeat him, you will need plus power, and at the end of the game, he will be worth 6 victory points. Konan, which is a level 3 arch enemy, and a few of her abilities are +2 power, +2 chakra, and draw 2 cards. Group attack. each player returns 2 hand signs from his hand or discard pile to the stack. For each hand sign a player fails to return, this way he'll gain a weakness. To defeat her, you will need 12 power, and at the end, she will be 6 points. Kisame. He's a level 3 arch enemy. His abilities include plus 3 chakra. You may use your character's chakra ability multiple times this turn. Stacked ongoing. While this card is on the arch enemy stack, each player cannot use chakra abilities on cards he played or locations. To defeat him, you will need 11 power, and at the end of the game he will be 6 points. Itachi. He's a level 3 arch enemy. His abilities include positive attack. Take another turn after this one. Group attack. Each player loses his next turn. To defeat Itachi, you will need 11 power, and at the end of the game, this card is worth 6 victory points. Nagato. He's a level 3 arch enemy. His abilities include put your deck into your discard pile, and then put a card with the cost 8 or less from your discard pile into your hand. Group attack. Each player discards a card, plus an additional card for each arch enemy in your hand and discard pile. To defeat him, you will need 11 power. At the end of the game, you will get 6 victory points. And finally, the last arch enemy, Toby. This card is a level 4. His ability is Group Attack. Each player reveals his hand and puts a card with a cost of 6 or greater from his hand into the lineup. In parentheses, this card starts the game on the bottom of the arch enemy stack. To defeat him, you will need 13 power, and at the end of the game, you will get 7 victory points. Once this card is defeated, the game is over. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. Here's a little display case I made for my Naruto action figures and memorabilia. Hope you guys had fun watching the video as much as I had making it. Thank you.